GM, everybody, welcome to this edition of This Week in Frax. I'm your host, DeFi Dave, here with Capital K. And this week, before we recap everything Frax, we have on a special guest. We have on Rob from Revest, who is offering quite the interesting product for those in the Frax ecosystem. Rob, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Dave. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure having you. Let's get right into it. For those who might not know, what is Revest, Resonate? Like, what's the difference? And what you guys are offering?
So Revest is, the analogy I love to use, Revest is to Resonate what a video game engine is to a video game. So Revest is the engine for financial NFTs. And what we do with Revest is we can take any complicated financial position, especially locked ones, so your VEs, your locked LPs on the Frax farming system, pretty much anything in that vein. And we can turn that position from being unique to your wallet to being represented with an NFT. And we have built Revest as a system to basically just power any individual use case where that's needed, like options, interest rate swaps, things like VE. It encompasses all of that stuff. It's a way for people to come in, hook into our dev tools, and issue their own financial NFTs, FNFTs. Resonate is our system by which people can come and get the future yield on a yield-bearing asset today. And that is what we're doing with Frax, and happy to get into the details.
Yeah, let's hop right into it. How can people get their future yield today with Resonate?
Yeah. So what we're doing with Frax is we are seeking to do on Optimism what Frax can already do on mainnet. Where if you go to a farm and you lock up your LPs on mainnet through Convex and Frax's collab, you can get all these extra rewards compared to just, normally farming the LP tokens. So we've built a system that can allow for that sort of functionality on any L2 as well. And we're doing a test run on Optimism right at this very moment. The idea there is Frax wants to have more deep locked liquidity for FrxETH LPs. And if any of you guys got FrxETH LPs, either on Optimism or you got some stuff on mainnet you can bridge over, you can bring it to our system, go to the Frax tab, and lock them up for 1 month. When you lock them up for a month, we're going to pay you 7.93% annualized on that FrxETH LP, which I believe the current going rate is around 4 or 5. So you're getting a really good deal there right now.
Wow.
So where does that extra yield come from?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. The answer to that is that Frax is willing to pay a little bit of a premium since it's locked yield. It's the same way that when you go to Convex, you get a little bit extra because it's valuable to have that locked TVL. It's valuable to keep that in one place, providing LPs for Frax and not hop and ship and going over to Lido or any of the other LST providers. It's very valuable having it where you want it and keeping it there so that people can't just run around. So between us and the Frax team, we're paying a slight premium because it's a 1 month lock and it'll keep that money, that liquidity on Optimism in FrxETH.
Well, and is this launched today? Like, can I go bridge to Optimism? Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. What's the current TVL?
Current TVL is around 20,000. We launched this last week.
Congrats. Nice.
We have seen some money flowing in. I've been talking to a few guys who I know who are actually currently in the process of bridging their money to Optimism for the express purpose of using it. You can use Frax Ferry. You can use Optimism's native bridge. We got a zapper built right into this thing. So all you got to do is bring Ethereum to this system. It's going to swap your ETH into FrxETH, and it's going to then deposit that all into Velodrome. You're going to end up with Velo, FrxETH, ETH LPs, and then it'll just drop those into Beefy where they generate the returns they otherwise would have for Frax, who's paying that upfront, and you get that upfront.
So the ETH is in Velodrome. It's on Curve or FrxETH.
Yep, it's on Velodrome.
Okay, yeah, because Velodrome is the primary arena for for like any trading on Optimism.
Velodrome, they're the big dogs over there on Optimism. Good
Yeah.
friends of ours, fantastic dudes, and yeah, it's the deepest liquidity anywhere.
Is that why you chose to build on Optimism, because of your relationship with Velodrome?
That, and we've just had a very good experience with Optimism. We knew that Frax wanted deeper liquidity there, and it was a natural fit. We had that pre-existing relationship. We've had a lot of good experiences there. And when we talked to Frax and said, hey, where do you most want liquidity right now? That was where it came out.
Wow, was it 9.59%?
7.93% annualized. Yeah.
7.93. Wow, like that's pretty high yield anywhere. And so again, let's like repeat for the users, if they want to go ahead and do this, they just go to the Resonate website and they can just zap in.
Yeah. app.resonate.finance, and then click the Frax tab, or click the page that says, hey, click here to use the Frax thing. It'll take you right to the interface. You click zap, you get your LPs, and then you click deposit. You're good to go.
Yeah. And there's a question that's on my mind. I'm sure it's on your mind, and I'm sure it's on everyone else's mind. It sounds quite similar to Hourglass. So I would like to hear in your own words, how would you compare and contrast yourselves to Hourglass, who we had on like a while ago?
Yeah. So we've been building FNFTs since, Jesus, it's been 2 years now. We were the guys who came up with the idea, who put it in practice, and the Revest protocol is what you might describe as, like I said, an engine. It does general purpose FNFTs. When you're talking about Hourglass, I know they're doing something similar, but it's on mainnet and it uses ERC 721s.
I believe it's on Arbitrum.
I wouldn't know. I know that their primary system was relying on the convex Frax integration. I don't know if they plugged in anything beyond that.
Oh, I know what it is. It's on mainnet, but their exchange is on Arbitrum.
Okay, that makes
sense.
That's
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're using ERC 721. Nothing entirely wrong with that. It is a bit less composable. The advantage of our system is that you can subdivide the rights to your locked position. So if I wanted to sell you 1/3 of my locked up Frax LPs because I wanted to get out early, well, I just go to, I think it's going to be OpenSea, might be Luxrare. Not sure who the dominant NFT exchange on Optimism is. Mm-hmm. Could also be PaintSwap. I'd go there and I would sell you 1/3 of all the copies I've got, because I don't have just one NFT for locking up, say, 10 LPs. I've got 10 NFTs, each worth 1 LP. So that's the additional piece of it that we unlock, is you can just do this for pretty much any size that you want.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet. I just got one final question.
We work without, that's the other piece here. We work without the need for the convex integration. The way Hourglass is structured, they're primarily building on the convex system. We actually, we worked together a little demo of that ourselves over the course of a day a while back, where we rebuilt that same system just to demo the flexibility of ours. And that's what I'm really proud of with Revest, is just how solid a toolkit my team and I have made. It can be taken to pretty much any application, set up and deployed, with the FNFT being a built-in interface for whatever position you're using. It's a Web3 enabled DApp, actually. It's not just an image or, like the Solidly NFTs where it's literal text. We actually built a rich featured DApp and put everything on IPFS for every single FNFT that's created. You can interact right with the position from the FNFT, which makes them super portable and allows them to work from whatever your wallet of choice is.
Yeah, honestly, I know you mentioned like a few exchanges there, and Hourglass does have a different but similar product. I feel like you could actually have this on the Hourglass exchange.
I mean, hey, I'm up for integration. Yeah. That's definitely in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
What I think, and I'd love to talk to those guys. Yeah. Know them. I'd be happy to have a chat.
Yeah, I can
One of my
favorite
things.
Actually, we have to head off. It's about the 10-minute mark.
Okay.
But Rob, thank you so much for coming on, sharing with us Resonate. Everyone, if you want to get that extra yield on optimism, make sure you go to app.resonate. What was the last part?
.finance.
.finance, and get those juicy yields.
Absolutely. It's great talking to you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Ciao.
Okay. Now, that actually is a good idea, that Dave.
Yeah. We're still filming because we have a whole episode.
Okay.
So you can just leave. I can introduce you to them after the show.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, pleasure talking to you. Thank you for having me.
Rob.
Do cut out that part.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys have a great afternoon. Take care.
You too.
Man. Bye.
I'm really proud of that cutoff.
The enforcer.
We're gonna. Yeah, dude. You gotta stop at some. That really got him going. That really did get him going.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. Let's get into it, buddy.
Okay.
Well, first thing first. This week in Frax, what happened to the
I'm gonna do a countdown. I'm gonna before we do it. Okay, before this. Okay, before. All right. I just felt like shaving it, dude. Like I felt this way for a few weeks, and with my birthday coming up, I just felt like the stash already served its purpose. At the beginning of the year, I felt like the stash was calling me, but recently, I just felt like I didn't want to feel like a dad anymore. I wanted to feel like I'm about to be 29, man. I don't need to look any older.
Got it. The bear market is over. This marks it. This is the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the bottom. Okay. I'm going to do a countdown, and then we'll run it. Let me just put this up. I got a second monitor. That's why I'm keep looking over here. But anyways, 3, 2, 1. All right. That was a nice conversation of opportunity and alpha we had with Rob from Resonate over there. But time to get into it with This Week in Frax. And this week, we got a few things to go over. First and foremost, Flywheel, we came out an article today covering the latest and greatest feature on Frax Facts, and which is this nice little graphic, this little diagram that shows how much more APY and how much more yield you'll be earning if you stake with FrxETH compared to its competitors. And I think this was a really smart move by the Frax team. Kit, what are your initial thoughts on this one?
Like I said, Frax has never done real marketing except for these one-off things. So I'm very happy to see them when they do come. Maybe Dave, you could share a screen just so some folks can kind of see what it looks like and such.
Yeah, let me pull this up. Hold on. If you hear me typing, my apologies. Let me pull up facts.frax.finance. And, I think this is significant for two reasons. First and foremost, it clearly illustrates how the stablecoin maximalist worldview is working and how it's actually a thing, how powerful it is. And the results speak for themselves. That's one of my first takeaways from it. Let me share my screen. Would you agree with that?
Dude, yes.
Yes. I mean, I don't know how people would disagree with that. People lie, numbers don't. And the numbers here say it's 2% APY more than the nearest competitor. 2%. And the second big thing, yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I've been, singing this song forever on every Frax check. On every week. I've been singing this song, so pretty
much
finally
every week up until every week up until recently, it's just been Frax number one, and so it's nice now that we can show this. And I think another big deal about this is a great thing to show, large stakeholders and institution and DAOs looking to allocate their large portions of ETH somewhere. They can clearly see, per 1,000 ETH, how much more they're getting. It's just such a simple yet powerful graphic. I'm really impressed with it. That's why we wrote a whole little article on it.
Yep. And I think also what's
Yeah.
important that you brought up institution is they should also scroll right down underneath and see the curve LP pool and actually see how much liquidity
Mm,
is in there so that they can kind of kind of gauge their position, right? It's also important to get out also as well as get in.
mm-hmm.
So it's also right there for them to see that hey, there's almost 25,000 ETH, like literally ETH in that curve pool for them to smash. So
Yeah. And that actually leads to the next point in our discussion about the FrxETH ETH curve pool, because there was some, heated discussion from Mr. Sunomono, who had his concerns about the imbalance in the FrxETH ETH pool. You can see it in the screenshots that we have in the article. He's like, why is FrxETH so imbalanced? Like, doesn't it risk DPEG? But this seems part of Frax's strategy with the AMO.
well, yeah, I mean that's the whole point
Yeah,
of.
that's the whole
Well,
point.
ideally, you kind of want to attract more ETH, but the imbalance is part of the design in the sense that there will be more yield for people to drop in the ETH into it.
Exactly. Can you explain that a bit more?
Sure. So right now it's imbalanced, but whenever it's imbalanced like this, Frax tend to crank up the bribes just a tad more, just to incentivize more people to put in their ETH into that pool, not just their Frax ETH. Because if you do Frax ETH right now, you would actually suffer some slippage. But if you were to put in ETH, just pure ETH, you would actually get positive slippage. So that's kind of why, like, the additional yield, just like on
Oh,
any pool, you want the higher TBL, right? That's why you would do that.
yeah. And there was also discussion how a Frax ETH redemption feature will be coming soon. I actually imagine this uh, similar to what Lido has done with their withdrawal contract. And actually, it's going to be similar to, I imagine it's similar to Frax Ferry, because Frax Ferry is super slow. And I imagine this
Mhm.
kind of feature will be super slow. So for those who want one-to-one redemption and don't mind waiting a bit, they can go through the Frax ETH redemption contract that's coming out in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. But
agreed.
I always,
Agreed.
yeah, go ahead.
I think once like more liquidity to quote exit, that means more liquidity is going to come in. Just like what happened with Chapella, right? When everybody can line up in the queue,
Hmm.
that's not using any of these LSDs, you could directly line them to the queue. We saw that, yeah, at first there was like this kind of spike, but overall it was a net inflow, not outflow.
Can you say
So
bullish withdrawals?
bullish
Bullish
withdrawals, new
withdrawal.
term coined here
Bullish
first.
withdrawals. Yeah, you hear it. And speaking of more Frax ETH discussion, there's this new proposal, FIP 257, that actually has an AMO for Frax ETH Steth on Curve. Did you see that?
No, I did not see that. What was that?
No.
Walk us through that, Dave.
Yeah,
No,
look
walk us
look it
through
up.
that.
There's so basically now Frax ETH is going to be backed by partially Steth, which is hugely positive to some. And this is what Sam always talks about, wanting to work with other protocols. And Steth is the obvious one. They're the largest LSD out there. They have the most liquidity. And this is just great for both parties.
What? I did not see that. How did I miss that?
Yeah.
That seems like pretty
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah. We can pull this up here because I think this is a huge deal. And I'd be down.
What?
Like I even said, like we should write an article about this for Monday. Let me authorize. It's just got put up to a vote. Let me just share my screen again real quick. Maybe you can help me figure out some parts. Current allocation is 100% Frax ETH. You know, okay, here it is. Their
Mm.
proposed allocation is like maximum amount of like the AMO to Frax ETH is 100%. The minimum amount it can go is 50. So there's a cap on how much of the pool can
Ah,
be Steth. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, this is a big deal. This is huge. I think I'm really excited about
interesting.
this. Yeah, because I can see people going back and forth between the two LSDs, especially as FrxETH gets more liquidity, and especially as bullish withdrawals come. You know, it's a lot
Dude,
easier just to go from like Steve to FrxETH. Oh, I see what they're doing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I think this is a what is that metaphor? A canary in the coal mine, where this is the first one.
Hmm.
But I don't see why not FrxETH, RETH, FrxETH,
I don't see. Yeah,
XYZ ETH. Like this is a canary in the coal mine of like FrxETH being that like liquid layer for the liquid staking derivatives. You know, like
yep,
I could totally see that happening. This is very
yeah.
interesting though. This
Uh,
this pool also acts as almost a double whammy in a sense that you get the curve native, the CRV, CVX, FXS yield, plus because you're is holding half steth, you're also
Steve,
getting native ETH yield. You know, so it's like a
it's
two in
basically an
one.
index. It's
It's a two in
three in
one.
one. Because then you're earning fee. Well, you're earning, the curve, convex, FXS yield. You're earning trading
Mhm.
fees, and you're earning steep,
Right,
the steep yield.
right. You're
So
right,
it's a
right.
triple
Three in
threat.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, which, which is really unique. Yeah, I agree. It's a canary in the coal mine. I would not be surprised to see a Wreath one in the future, and I can see in the future more LSDs that they gain more market share. It goes up in value. If there's enough liquidity. This is how FrxETH becomes WEF, basically.
Oh, dude, that is so clever that they made it with Steph with
Mm-hmm.
instead of SFraxETH, because you don't want people to stake in SFraxETH. You want people to just keep it as FrxETH, so folks
No,
in SFraxETH
it's
gets
all about
more.
increasing
What is the
that
solution?
monetary premium.
Yes, what is that solution? That
Yeah.
solution is to throw it into Steph and share that liquidity. Oh, that is so
But
clever. Can't believe I missed this. Yeah, that's so clever.
yeah, no, it just came. Yeah, I had to do a double take. I was like, wow, this is a big deal.
Yeah,
Now on to the next subject. Our friends at Bankless. Shout out David. Shout out Ryan. Shout out the
shout
whole
out.
Bankless squad. Yeah. They had a new report. 10 altcoins that will survive the bear market. And you know what was number one?
Numero
FXS.
uno.
Numero uno. Because in the past, they had like some interns or some shit, right? Critical
I
articles about
remember.
Frax, FXS. And it seemed like the person misunderstood how the protocol worked, which is common, which is why Flywheel exists. But this is a big deal, like getting this kind of recognition in Bankless. They have such a huge platform, especially in Ethereum. Now you're going to get a lot more eyes to Frax and
Yeah,
FXS.
100%.
Yeah.
I hope they plugged us in, educational content for Frax for their viewers and listeners.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been getting more love in that regard. I got a little preview of our friend Ouroboros, who will be coming on the pod next week. Of his big deal. He's writing a whole written thesis. The whole Ouroboros Capital team is writing one about FXS and their conviction in it, and what they see in it. And they actually had a proposal recently about the buybacks. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. I did.
Let me
That's a
see,
very clever
let me
way
see
of,
if it.
of structuring it.
Hold on. Let me see if it passed. We are rolling. Hold on. What are your initial thoughts on it? Like, did you get to read it?
No, I just got to read what the proposed execution method was, and I thought it was very clever to basically buy when it's cheap, like really cheap, buy more when it's cheaper. It's like a very
Yeah.
effective
Buy
buyback system.
buy cheap.
Yeah,
Where is this? There we go. Optimizing. Oh wow. Okay. It passed. It even got
yeah,
the
nice,
blessing of our friends at Convex. So
nice.
yeah, this passed like unanimously. It's going to pass. It is actually 20 minutes away from the snapshot ending, but this I think it's a huge deal. This optimizes Frax's buybacks basically, and just makes it a lot more efficient.
Yeah,
And
and
shout out to
it's good.
Ouroboros for taking the
Yeah,
initiative to do this. But you go ahead.
and it's great to have like a trader fund manager kind of propose these type of plans, right? It's like clearly this is what he does for a living, or they. This is clearly what they
Hmm.
do for a living, and clearly they know how to execute, and they're literally detailing a playbook for the Frax community, which I think is great.
Yeah, and it's something to work on in the future. Like, what if we do a buyback of different assets? What if we do a buyback of FPIS? What if you do a buyback of, something else? Buyback of
True,
FrxETH. Yeah.
true,
So,
true.
this is a model like to go on. Next up, we got the swap guys. Their proposal passed. I saw Drake vouching for them. They have a quite the unique market. Um yeah, they have quite the they really they're really doing some cool stuff. But yeah, swap passed. Have you looked into swap at all?
Not first time hearing it.
Yeah, I should talk to Drake more to see what they're more about. Um, we're gonna have more detail about them in the article, so that's the place to read about it. Other proposals that just passed. Moving on is FIP 254, which are Frax educational incentives. We made a few amendments to the program. Me and Nadir worked on that, just to optimize it a bit more. So, and we actually extend the program another 6 months. So it's going to be
Ooh.
9 months of Frax incentives. And you're going to see some cool stuff from that in the near future, especially on the new Flywheel website that's coming. And we got another big proposal. Last but not least, we have FIP 258, which concerns us directly. It's the Flywheel grant amendments. So, it will allow us to, keep producing shows like This Week in Frax. We're actually going to shift Frax checks to become bi-weekly under the proposal. We're going to have more events because that's probably been the most requested and most acclaimed feature of Flywheel so far, other than the podcast. We're going to have more events in the future, like see us in Singapore, Dev Connect in Turkey coming up. And we're going to keep Sam Casbot going. Running a bot is hard. I can tell you that. Sam Casbot, it's had its issues, but we're working through it. And you're going to see it. You're going to see some stuff from it. My plan is to have it, instead of just do a giant splurt of tweets, just have it tweet once every 15 minutes. I think once every 15 minutes, that's a good cadence, and to keep it recent and keep it fresh.
Yep.
And then yeah, so if you're listening to this, if you want to support the pod, make sure you go ahead, vote for on that proposal. And yeah, that's what we got going this week. Thanks, everyone. Is there anything I missed, kid? I feel like there's always so much going
Yes.
on.
There is
What did I
one
miss?
thing about the CBDC curve
Oh,
being mentioned in the
oh my God,
papers.
that was huge
Uh,
news. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's
Cheetah, our friend DeFi Cheetah, kind of broke that for at least on my timeline. It was Cheetah that I saw first talking about it, and that is huge. That I know it's not the Fed. It's like the European Bank. Is like all the other kind of
it's the
central
Bank of
banks.
International Settlements, which is the
There
central
you go.
bank of
There you go.
central
There you go.
banks.
That one. They dropped the paper, and literally in that paper they said CRV. Like it was wild to kind of see that level of recognition. Like
I know.
wild. So I thought that
They
was
chose
super cool. I
CRV.
didn't
They
read the
saw
paper
Curve
yet, but
V2.
yeah. Yeah,
They
they
chose.
even
I mean,
said V2. I was like, what?
yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
Wow. I think that goes to show the power of being the central, not the central, but the source of truth when it comes to pricing power.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
definitely think
the
so.
I think the Bank of International Settlements recognize that, and also just the pure mathematical genius of Mitch, and just how the system has worked, and what him and the Curve team has constructed over the past few years to really become the foundation of DeFi. And without Curve, Frax would not exist. Frax would not be what it is. So really exciting to get that kind of recognition. It really goes to show that Frax has made the right move in embedding
Mhm.
itself in the Curve and
Yep.
Convex ecosystem.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
cool
and
stuff.
just to add another tad bit on that to close this out is all Frax related pool like Frax BP, Frax PP, Frax 3 CRV, all of them are actually almost 3x that of the size of 3 pool. So if any central bank were to be curious as to hey, where's the largest stable coin liquidity that they could be paired with, it's gonna be one of the Frax related pools.
Yeah,
Unless
it
of course
seems
they
the
bring their
three.
own USDC and they just smash a whole massive pool. Also possible, but just saying the most
It's
native
possible.
liquidity,
Yeah,
the most native liquidity on Curve is Frax.
yeah. Definitely seems like the three pools days are numbered.
Yeah,
The way it's going,
definitely.
and especially with Dai having a new stablecoin in the works.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and on that note, thanks for joining us for this edition of This Week in Frax. I'm your host, DeFi Dave. I'm here with Capital K. If you want to catch up with everything Frax, everything DeFi, everything Flywheel, make sure you hit that bell button right now. Don't forget, subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Give us a like. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Flywheel DeFi. You can follow me on Twitter at Flywheel DeFi. You can follow us on Telegram at Flywheel DeFi. You can follow me on Twitter at DeFi Dave22.
You can follow me at 0x_capital_K.
Make sure you subscribe to your Substack, and we'll see you next week.